All right, well, welcome. Welcome to this idea of the philosophy of suggestive therapy by Dr. Thurman Fleet. But before we get into that, I want to give you a little bit of a history of how we came to this part. And some of you have heard the story, but I want you to take yourself back to around March 2020. March 2020 was a scary time in our universe for the whole world. We were in a pandemic of COVID. And during that time, they were trying to figure out who was essential and who wasn't essential. And the governor of Texas, someone asked, is a chiropractor essential? And he said, no, chiropractors aren't essential. After 20 years of practicing as a chiropractor saving lives, to say that chiropractors weren't essential was, and I got what he meant. He was probably thinking just emergency care only, but he didn't know. So we had 2 offices at the time running. We laid everybody off. They wanted to go home and be with their family. A couple days later, the governor says, I made a mistake. Chiropractors are essential. They're very essential. So we called everybody back and said, okay, it's time to come back. And 2 people came back here, and 2 people came back there. 26 people didn't come back. And you know what happened. We had to stay 6 foot away. We had to sanitize, wear masks. It was scary. It was scary, especially for the medical profession that was dealing in. People were scared. We were scared. At that time, we thought our career was done. We didn't know what the shape of the world. Obviously, we survived. The moment we were essential, we came back and we started working again. I came out of essentially retired management, and we went back and we started doing this thing. But it struck me that I couldn't believe just for a moment that I could be considered non-essential. I had my feelings hurt. And so I decided, well, what can I do that this doesn't happen again? So I went back to school and got a master's in neuroscience. And it was in that moment, every week of that study, that was a 2-year study, every week there was a tear that flowed down my face of inspiration that the brain in this body was so wonderfully made. And I'd studied that 20 years prior through chiropractic, but every week I was amazed about the function of this nervous system. And through the course of that time, I ran into a master healer. And this master healer said he was getting results that no one else could get. Well, how else could you be super essential if you could get results that nobody else get? And not the typical chiropractic results. We're talking about fixing the unfixable, curing the incurable. And I wanted that. And so in the course of studying with him for a couple of years, he kept mentioning this Dr. Thurman Fleet. And then all the people that trained under Dr. Fleet. And then he kept mentioning the Concept Therapy Institute. And so I said, hey, I want to go learn where you learn. You learned for 20 years, and you're this master healer. He said, I'll teach you everything you need to know about healing. You don't need to do that. I'm not a good listener. I like to get things from the source. So I took my first concept therapy course in early February of 2022. And that was change of life. Even Kim, my wife Kim, she went with me. She didn't go to take the course, but she sat outside at the Concept Therapy Institute in this little place we call the Triangle Garden under these ancient oaks, and they are ancient by far. And I came out for a break, and she says, I don't know what you've got yourself into, but I'm all in. And I go, I don't even know what I got myself into. And I have, just for the record, I have drugged her and others through a lot of stuff in my life. And so you can see people's hesitancy when I say, I've got some new stuff. From that moment, we were hooked. We took no short, since 2022 till now, over 20 concept therapy courses. Same course, but it's a different course each time you take it. Taught it, took it. We became certified teachers in 2024. And it seems to be our life mission to educate individuals on health and wellness. And so we're going to hope to show some of that with you today. So that's kind of how we're here. This course that we're doing today, this class, this is about the philosophy. We'll talk more about the application of the philosophy, but this is a booklet that was created as a supplement to the class. Back then, it was over a 5-day class. So Dr. Fleet created the pamphlet to shorten 2 days so that doctors could come to his class. But look at what we're going to be covering. When you look at this slide, these are some of the things you're going to be in store for. The power that heals. You're going to learn this, not the technique. It's not the particular doctor you go to, the technique, the product, the service. Those are part of the healing process, but it's not what does the healing. We're going to be looking at this mysterious element that heals, the riddle of what does cure. And then as you read here, faith plus an image. We're talking a lot about faith from a confidence standpoint. And then we're going to be looking at this big secret of healing. Do know that Dr. Fleet was a chiropractor. He taught chiropractors. He started with chiropractors. That's not the case anymore. It's for every person. So in places where we talk about chiropractic, you could put whatever profession you're a part of, or whatever product or service or idea you use. I've tried to take the notes and make it universal, but there are places where if you do see chiropractic, understand it came from a chiropractor who originally taught to chiropractors. But this is not in any way a chiropractic talk. What's the purpose of today? If you look closely at this slide, I want to make it pretty clear what our purpose is. It's to recognize the principle of healing. Now, what kind of healing? We're going to talk about functional or psychosomatic healing as it applies to pretty much everyone. Why functional or psychosomatic? Why not physical? Well, because we have doctors that fix trauma. We have doctors that if you get poisons in you or on you, you go and you handle the body. But when you realize, if you look at this slide, that only 20% of all disease involves either some type of poison or some type of trauma. In this chart, it's labeled the expressions, causes, and effects of disease. Well, if you have an organic expression, this means something got on you or in you from the environment. The cause is poison, some type of poison. And then you can look, we have poisonous plants and parasites and excess food. And the symptoms are all of the symptoms that you could ever have, all the itises, the pains. Now this chart originally was created by the founder of chiropractic, Dr. D.D. Palmer. Dr. Fleet then modified it, and then another doctor, Dr. Deal, modified it even more. So we've kept some of the old language, the symptoms, but understand that any symptom would fit down here. So trauma, the expression is structural. So if you have a trauma, whether it be a fall or an accident or sprains or strains, then that requires a certain type of care. We're not talking about this 20%. We're not here to talk about suggestion or the philosophy of suggestion as it applies to poisons and trauma. These are things of the body. Why is that important? Well, because 80% of all the other issues are functional in expression and they're autosuggestive. That means it's of the mind. It's psychosomatic. Thoughts are things, and when you dwell on them long enough, they end up in your body. How does that happen? There's this word called genetic tendency. That means if it's in your family lineage, you have a possibility of getting it. If you live the same life and you're doing the same thing as they have, there's a possibility. Doesn't mean you have to have it. Where typically a real genetic issue would show up at birth. I know there's exceptions, but that's the big idea. How else could you auto-suggest? Intense thinking about disease. We worry about it. We research it. We learn everything about it. We think we've got it. You think about it long enough and put enough emotion on it, it will drop into the body. We also have the vibrations of disease. I don't know if you've heard, but there's this statistic that many doctors die of their expertise. Well, if you're around disease all the time and that's all you see, hear, and talk about, and if you accept that into your system, you might get that. And then emotional disturbances, distress, and inner turmoil. So those four categories are accounting for 80% of an influence in psychosomatic issues. So why is a chiropractor talking about that? Well, if we could teach our patients and we could teach you how to offer constructive suggestions into their body and into their life, and they change the way that they do things, they change their perception, then so do their decisions and their actions change. Because when I found that out, 80% of the patients that are coming to see me, it's not because of a fall or a slip or a trip or a poison, because they tell me, nothing happened, I just woke up this way. I eat perfectly, but I have tremendous digestive issues, and nobody can find a problem. Well, if we negate these two, poisons and trauma, then we know it must be auto-suggested. And if not auto-suggested, you allowed somebody to suggest for you, which could still fit in that category. So all this to say, those of you that will find this interesting, there is a course that Dr. Fleet put together that this data is coming from. This is the application. How do you apply this data? So today's about the philosophy. It's fun, it's entertaining, it's eye-opening. And then this is how you do it. So this is leading up to that. Now here is Dr. Thurman Fleet. Those of you that don't know, he was born in 1895, the same year chiropractic was founded. He passed in 1983. He's most known for forming the Concept Therapy Institute, and a lot more than that. He was a World War I hero, had probably every major medal you could ever have. I think they even made up medals for him. He was in his 20s when he was discharged because he had health issues. He had shrapnel in his brain. He had been mustard gassed many times. And so they sent him home to die. After 1 year, said, you got 1 year to live. Go home and enjoy your life. Well, after a year, he didn't die. He said, they lied to me. And in that, he went on to find a chiropractor. He had major migraines. One visit, the chiropractor fixed his migraine. And that nobody else could fix them for some reason. And from that moment, that was a decision maker for him to join chiropractic. And then he went to school. There's so much to say. We'd be here too long to talk about it, but obviously he became a chiropractor, an inventor, quite the salesperson. He did a tremendous service for our profession. And all of that can be found, if you like books, there's a biography, Where There's a Will, There's a Way, tells his entire story. It's an easy read. I'm going to read something to you that's pertinent from here on why you're in this course and why we've gravitated to his work. He says, as his young practice flourished, Dr. Fleet enjoyed many successes, but his failures worried him. He meticulously analyzed and double-checked his treatment for each failed case and wondered why chiropractic hadn't worked. In each instance, he had adjusted the patient exactly how he'd been taught. Why was there a failure, he asked himself. This troublesome question came home when he dramatically when he treated two patients with the same complaint. One got well, the other one didn't. How could this be? Something was wrong, very wrong. And Fleet couldn't dismiss it from his mind. Delia, his wife, tried to reason with him. Give yourself more time, she urged. You've only been in practice barely 3 months. But nothing anyone said alleviated Fleet's deep disappointment and confusion. He refunded all advance payments to his patients, and he closed his clinic early in December to sit back and think on the problem. And then on December 17th, 1931, Thurman informed Delia that he was secluding himself in the front bedroom and he wasn't to be disturbed under any circumstances. Delia immediately contacted her brother Calvin. She was very concerned and she needed his level-headed assistance. Calvin rushed to the house, calmed Delia, and went right into the room where Thurman retreated. And the first thing he noticed, so that Thurman had shaved his pencil-thin mustache. What a surprise. He had always been a bit vain about his mustache. And Thurman greeted Calvin. And while they chatted about mundane things, Calvin realized that his friend was quite pale and had a glittering sparkle that shone from his eyes. And suddenly, Dr. Fleet proclaimed, "Cal, I've tuned in to the secret of healing." In one of his last books that he wrote, Dr. Fleet said that he had something like an illumination, some type of peak experience. These days you'd hear people say some type of download. And the image, my understanding is the image that he saw was what you're going to learn today, the principles behind what heals. And then he spent the next 10 years, 40,000 books, dividing the books into body, mind, and soul, and then extracting pieces of those books to create his course in concept therapy, which he delivered to chiropractors for the first time in 1944. But prior to 1944, he had created this in pamphlet form, The Laws of the Body, the Mind, and the Soul. This is the Total Health Handbook. And if you're interested in learning laws of the body, mind, and soul, there's classes every week on this. They're free classes that you can Zoom into or attend in person. And if you're interested, we can talk more on that. This is quite the asset. This is the entrance to the Onsat Ranch in San Antonio, basically around the Bernie, Leon Springs area. It's been there since '49. When you go through this gate, the deer, the peacocks, little foxes, and some Egyptian geese, they're just there. And there's a neighborhood there now. And the simplest definition of that is body, mind, soul. That's the simplest. It means much more than that, but that's the current gate. Why are we taking time to do all this? I want to show you why. This suggestive therapy is a subset of Dr. Fleet's work in concept therapy. He starts to talk about suggestion there, its impact on our life. But I want you to get this, because I want you to see how pertinent what he's created. And this is what he's about. This was his earliest definition of concept therapy. He said it's the study and application of universal principles and universal law. Of what? Well, he says he's taken all the science, the theology, and the philosophy about human personality. We'll talk about personality and what personality is. But it's the science, it's the theology, and the philosophy, the laws behind those. And he says, whether the cause, he says, the science of the cause of disease. This is what you're here for. It's the science of the cause. Well, what's the cause? Well, it could be physical, mental, or spiritual. And then it's the science and art of removing the cause, whether it's physical, mental, or spiritual. And then he throws a little icing on the top and says, and we're going to teach you the natural laws that govern the body, mind, and soul. I mean, I don't know what could be more complete in the idea of health in your wellness than understanding what's the cause. Is it physical? Is it mental? Is it spiritual? And then how, if it is, once you identify which one it is, how do we treat it? If it's mental, then treat it mentally. If it's physical, treat it physically. If it's spiritual, treat it physically. See, the chiropractor, the reason why he was so after chiropractors is they understood this triune being idea. They're a little metaphysical. They understand you treat the whole body, not just one part. Body, mind, soul. If you have a physical trauma, you treat it physically. If it's emotionally or mental, you treat it that way. But the body, the human, the personality cannot be complete without all three in balance. And so we all get to learn how to do that. Dr. Fleet's original course in concept therapy, it outlines a few things. And again, I'm going through this because I want you to understand where this is generated from. The first day is outlining the creative process. Some of you think about manifestation. Some of you healing. Some of you communication. This is the principles behind all of that. And you're going to learn some of that today. Analyzing human nature, the body, the mind, the soul, spirit. What is it and what it's not? How personality works. Well, what is the personality and how does the body, mind, and soul interact, and what makes it sick and what makes it well? And then the natural laws that govern the entire universe. You might want to know something about that so you understand that nothing happens by chance. One of my favorite diagrams is, if you look at this, what is this study? Well, if you take the sciences, the philosophies, the psychologies, the theologies, the metaphysics, and you extract out of each of those the core principles, the central truths, and you put them all into one study, then you end up with this, you end up with a study of concept therapy that every philosophy, every religion can agree upon and apply in their way. And so that's pretty eye-opening. Simply stated, concept means a fixed idea. Other people have different names for them, but this is what it is. Therapy working with. We're working ideally with negative ideas to turn them into positive. So you're being suggested to every day. Some of the ideas are positive, some are negative. And if you're aware of it, then you can allow it or not allow it. Teaches you how to work with your fixed ideas. And we're going to show you, how do you know you have fixed ideas? Well, it's showing up in your body and it's showing up in your life. That's how you know. And so now we'll get to what you came for. This data is coming out of this book. This is a pamphlet called The Philosophy of Suggestive Therapy. It's being remade right now, so you cannot get it. So I'm attempting to give it to you in my version. Okay, summarized it in a way where it was just mentioning doctor-patient. I tried to put client. You can just remember, it's open for everyone. The Institute is refining this, and this will be available at some time in the near future. But right now, the only way you're going to get it, you have the notes. So if you don't have the notes, you may put in the chat there that you would like the notes. Okay. Philosophy, what does it mean? Well, I summarized it simply as the love of wisdom. And when you have the love of wisdom, that leads to the wisdom of love. Love unconditionally, not a polarized, infatuated definition for love. What is suggestion? Well, this is how I'm defining it in our context. It is the influencing of a person to accept an idea, to accept a belief or impulse. And you see what it says? Uncritically. And what else? In a constructive manner. I'm interested in helping you understand how to watch for destructive suggestions going into your life, in your body, and how to give constructive suggestion in the process behind that as it relates to healing. In the concept therapy course, Dr. Fleet goes into suggestion and what it is. But you must realize that all suggestion comes through our five senses, whether you know it or not. That's the only way it can get in, and then you make some form of association. When you look at this, those of you that understand the psychology and the science of thought, you'd understand that suggestion is another word for resonance. You'll hear, I do not resonate with that. I resonate with that. It's a vibration. Without these senses, without the environment, there is no thought. There is no sensation. There is no emotion. This is why you'll hear me constantly ask patients, what was the thought that preceded the symptom? What were you thinking about? What were you imagining? What were you saying? What were you hearing? What were you tasting? Because all action comes from a thought, a sensory input, then a thought, then an action. And if your perception's off, well, your decisions and your actions are off. And the key idea here is that the suggestion is a process by which an idea is brought into your brain, into your mind, and then however you associate with it, good or bad, pleasure or pain, that will manifest into your body and into your life. So, our environment really is the real source of suggestion. We know this as parents. We don't want our children in any negative environment. We don't want to live in a bad environment, a dirty environment, because that has an impact on our health. But suggestion is the fundamental influence that has made us what we are. And when you begin to understand that, you'll understand the importance of being a part of something and understanding what suggestion is. And then finally, I'm most interested because the subconscious mind is influenced by suggestion. And at least for our purposes, 80% of psychosomatic illness, 80% of disease has its place somewhere in that stress-related idea. Okay? Now, if you'll take your notes and open up to the first section. I have done quite a bit of talking. So the way we'll do this is I'll ask an inspired reader to read. Now, what you'll do is each section is a page or a page and a half. You notice where it says Healing Categories Overview? You won't have to read those. You won't have to read any of the bulleted underlined parts that start the sentence. You see where it says the merits and confusions of healing? That's the summary of the paragraph. You don't have to read that part. The focus of this informative, you don't have to read that. So you'll get the idea as we move forward. Okay? But for sake of a new reader or new talker, who would like to read the first section, and you'll stop. You'll know when to stop because that section will end. Do we have a reader? Anybody? Okay, we got a reader back here. And then after it's read, if there's questions or comment, then just raise your hand and then you can comment it. And if not, I'll teach. I have a few slides after each reading to teach. Okay, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Today we're exploring the principles of the art of healing. This discussion will clarify the three primary categories of healing and their implications for both practitioners and patients. The art of healing can be classified into three distinct categories. Physical healing. This encompasses healers who use physical means to treat illness, including administering drugs, performing surgery, or adjusting the body's structure. Some healers employ natural methods, such as massage, hydrotherapy, and dietary adjustments to restore health. Mental healing. This category is focused on the notion that psychological factors can disrupt physical health. Mental healers, including psychiatrists, psychoanalysts, and psychotherapists, delve into the mind to uncover unresolved issues that may be impacting the patient's well-being. In essence, they employ the concept of mind over matter. Spiritual healing. This approach includes various spiritual or religious healing practices. People often turn to religious healers, shrines, and places of worship, such as the well-known Shrine of Lourdes, for cures through spiritual or psychic methods. Each of these healing methods possesses its own merits. However, when faced with a sick individual, it can be challenging for a healer to determine the most appropriate form of treatment. This uncertainty leads to confusion within the healing community. Some individuals might receive physical therapies when they require psychological intervention, while others may need physical care but only seek mental or spiritual help. The purpose is to highlight the psychological methods of healing, particularly focusing on how psychosomatic ailments have been addressed throughout history. While it does not claim to be exhaustive, it offers valuable insights into the application of purely psychological curative methods. To enhance our understanding, it is vital for each practitioner to be aware not only of the physical healing methods, but also of the psychological and spiritual components involved in healing. By appreciating the diverse contributions of different approaches to recovery, practitioners can better serve their patients. The course in Applied Suggestive Therapy emphasizes psychological cures and outlines the principle governing these methods. The focus here will be primarily on the philosophy of suggestive therapy rather than the techniques of application alone. Understanding these three categories of healing, physical, mental, and spiritual, will empower you as a practitioner to provide well-rounded care. By integrating knowledge from all of these methods, you can give a more comprehensive and practical healing experience for your patients. Why is that?
Well done. Good. So I'm going to give you a brief audio clip in just a second that from a Methodist minister, also an electrical engineer, who was instrumental in helping Dr. Fleet get this up off the ground. So I think you'll appreciate this little statement. Jamie, you ready?
Now, suggestive therapy is a very big subject. In fact, the world is looking at it now with both eyes, whereas a few years ago they only looked at it with their eyes closed. We are constantly using suggestions to bring about changes in physical conditions of ourselves and others, and we often do not even know about it. The mind affects the body. That's not new. It was said in the Bible years ago, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. That means in his subconscious, as he is, so he expresses in his body. It was a great day in my life when I began to learn something about the relationship between suggestion and the power within. We've been hearing the teachers this afternoon talk to you about this great power that's within. And now I just simply say that suggestion is the switch by which you turn the power on. Just like the push button on the wall is the switch by which you turn the electricity on to light the lights or to run the motor, so suggestion is the switch by which you turn on the power that is within, the creative power, and it will do anything to which it is hooked up to logically in your thinking.
So the purpose of this first section was just to give you an idea that there are three types of healing. There are physical, mental, and spiritual healing. Dr. Fleet created this book, The Causes of Disease. He borrowed it from the founder of chiropractic. And if you have an interest in, he defines this very well of what constitutes what we were attempting to say with this chart, this cause of disease chart. So if things on here interest you, you can you'll have information in your pamphlet from the Institute you can contact and they can get it to you. I don't have any product here. Back to our chart. I think you might find this interesting and it'll be eye-opening as we go. I mentioned that physical healing is typically found in these two categories. If there's poisons or trauma, that's physical. Could you suggest some positive healing with that? Sure, but the idea here is if these individuals need medical help, ideally. These individuals, this is more of the mental side of things. They need some form of mental healing. And in our world of medicine, that's typically a psychiatrist or a psychologist or a counselor or a therapist or a psychotherapeutic or analyst. So but what about the soul? What about the spiritual aspect? Where is that on here? Well, what I didn't share with you too much yet is 100% of all disease is due to incorrect reasoning. Well, who's the reasoner? The soul, you, the chooser, you, based on your perceptions. You make certain decisions, you make certain actions, and those decisions and actions, whether you're ignorant on it or not, create the problem. So the goal, Dr. Fleet created a concept therapy course because it's a course in reasoning. How do you reason physically, mentally, spiritually, without interfering with any religious, psychological, scientific principles? Right. So before we move to the next section, questions on anything that you've seen or heard so far? Or comments? Okay. Oh, go ahead, Mike.
So one thing I noticed based on the chart was that this is not necessarily discussing chronic or long-term disease. This is the initial analysis of the injury, or is this, in other words, is this the starting of the path so that you're correctly heading in a different direction as opposed to
it's both.
going?
That's an astute question, because the first idea of you as a healer or of a prayer warrior, or however you're going to label yourself in this case, is to identify first, is this a physical problem? Did they fall off a ladder? Yes, that's a physical problem. Lord, heal them quick. Is it if it's not physical, then most likely it's there's something stress that they've thought about and they've processed, and that can happen instantly or it can happen over time. But usually it's something that happens over time. They may say it just happened yesterday. Well, then in that case we do a good history to figure out was there a thought, was there a thing, or there's an action that came into play. So it's all of it, but typically if it's chronic, then we're going to see many, 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 many thoughts compiled and associated with that idea. Typically they start in our childhood, from say 6 to 8, when the subconscious mind is wide open. From 0 to 6 to 8, when the subconscious mind is wide open, where everything that comes in is taken for full face value because they don't have anything to compare it to. It's not until about after 7 or 8 they begin to reason and reason well, and now they start deciding what's root for that. So, but it's a good question. We're beginning to see it's no matter acute or chronic. Okay, the next section, we're talking about the history of healing. I think this is eye-opening when you understand what's happened in the origins of healing. All right, next, who would like to read? Okay, Mary. Yeah.
The history of healing, origins of healing. Let's begin by exploring the origins of healing. Early humans faced numerous health challenges, plagued by diseases and natural disasters. Lacking scientific insights, they attributed their ailments to invisible external forces, which they frequently perceived as evil spirits. This led to a significant fear of these uncontrollable elements. Primitive individuals understood injuries as consequences of external events. They believed that these outside forces were the cause of their suffering. Instead of looking inward to answers, their worldview was shaped by fear, directing their efforts toward combating these perceived threats. Healing practices. In response to their fears, ancient societies created various rituals to confront these evil spirits. This included wearing grotesque masks and using body paint and tattoos aimed at frightening away the spirits believed to cause illness. The medicine man or witch doctor became a pivotal figure during these times, using dance, music, and symbolic gestures to facilitate healing. The role of faith. A crucial aspect of these healing practices was faith, parentheses, a desire or expectation, confident expectation, acting as if it will happen, close. The belief that a treatment could be effective was essential in the healing process. Research indicates that when individuals genuinely believe in the effectiveness of their treatment, regardless of how unconventional it may seem, it often triggers a real healing response. This principle highlights the significant influence of the mind on achieving health outcomes. Continuity through history. As we look through history, we see a continuity of healing beliefs from ancient practices to modern medicine. Various objects, rituals, and symbols have been utilized throughout time. Many contemporary beliefs closely mirror those of earlier cultures. For instance, people today still carry lucky charms or perform certain rituals to ward off illness, reminiscent of the practices of ancient shamans or healers. Understanding the historical context of healing provides valuable insights into suggestive therapy. It highlights how the intertwining of belief, ritual, and the human mind has consistently played a pivotal role in healing across cultures. As we delve deeper into suggestive therapy today, we uncover the endurance significance of these foundational principles.
Thank you, Mary. One of the things that you're going to see quite a bit is this idea of faith. Now, in your notes, I just highlighted the word, the definition I'm choosing to use here is a desire or expectation or confidence or confident expectation, acting as if it will happen. Let's use that definition more than a religious construct so we could all be on the same page. Faith is the great requirement. You must have confidence for healing to occur. No confidence in the thought, no confidence in the product, the service, the doctor, the idea, no healing. So that is a major principle. And then it's the faith in the method that turns the healing power loose. And you might find that to be true. You might find that when something doesn't work, somewhere in your conscious, logical, reasoning mind, there's something about it that doesn't make sense to you. For some, perfect sense, and you laugh at them. There's no way that there's any scientific basis for what you are saying. But they have faith, and it happens. And we didn't, and so it doesn't. So that's and then, look at this slide. Superstition. See, we're going through the history to show you that in the history they didn't have all these techniques. They relied on faith. It's a very potent suggestive power. Good luck charms. Raise your hand if you have a good luck charm of some sort. A crystal, an amulet, a necklace, anything. Go ahead. I mean, right. You have faith that has some type of suggestive power, and you have it. This is a buckeye up here in this upper corner. There's a story in here Dr. Fleet will come across about a buckeye. So Jamie brought a real live buckeye, and they used it in the old days to help prevent rheumatoid. So I'll pass this around, and you'll hear the story in here in the notes about when he lost it, his pains came back, and when he found it, the pains went away. So you might want to get you some buckeyes for your clients or your patients. Yes, we have a Trudy, you have the mic.
Yes. Thank you. No, I was just going to share a real quick story that happened this week that is this exact principle. And it was so crazy how quickly this worked. I was working with someone this week. She couldn't find something, and within like a moment, I just remembered, growing up Catholic, my grandmother would say whenever we would lose something, we'll pray to St. Anthony, and we'd find whatever the thing was, because that was the faith, right, of the specific saint, let's say. So I just kind of said that, like jokingly, I said, well, my grandmother used to say, pray to St. Anthony, and just saying that, and literally in 10 seconds, she found the item. Seriously, I was like blown away. I'm like, she had looked in the place that through her bag, couldn't find it, and then I said that, and then she looked again, and it was there.
Did anybody just get chills, by the way? I still have the chills. That's how powerful. Now you feel the emotion coming through the room, because you resonate with that idea of, many of you have that same, something similar. How powerful of a suggestion. Just as an auto-suggestion, like, I can't find my keys. I can't find my keys. That's why you can't find them, because you're telling yourself, I can't find my keys. Why wouldn't we switch it to, I'm finding my keys. They're right in front of my eyes. My eyes are opening. But we don't even have an idea that something so simple could be a suggestion to our own mind, I can't find my keys. And by the way, you know why it's always in the last place you look? Because you find it. You don't have to look anymore. So you found it. People say, that's always in the last place I look. Because you found it. Now you don't look anymore. Right. Any other comments or questions on that section? Okay, so you get the format. There will be some sections I'll read, but the idea is as someone's reading it, It's just to change up the flow and the tone, and then if there's a question or a comment, I've attempted in my own mind to highlight things that I thought were important. There might be other things that are important that I didn't highlight, but at least if you grab those are some principles that you might want to put in there. Okay, next reader, we have this idea of the mysterious element in healing. Who would like to share with us this mysterious element of healing? Seth? All right.
Let's explore a fascinating aspect. Let's explore a fascinating aspect of healing that has transcended ages, the role of faith and how it unlocks a mysterious element crucial for recovery. As Jesus said, according to your faith, be it unto you. This principle guides our discussion on suggestive therapy and its historical context. We discover that when perfect faith exists, both from the patient and the healer, something profound happens within the patient. This mysterious element often leads to healing, which is the core focus of our inquiry into suggestive therapy. Let's delve into the history of medicine, starting with ancient Egypt. Renowned for its organized healing practices, early Egyptian healers developed their knowledge through trial and error, documenting the healing properties of various drugs and herbs, which led to the practice we now call diagnosis. In their records, they detailed an array of remedies that seem quite grotesque by today's standards. For example, one remedy for asthma involved creating capsules from the hair of a hanged criminal. Despite their repulsiveness, many patients took these remedies with unwavering faith, leading to actual cures. As healing evolved, ancient Egyptians began incorporating magic into their practices. They believed that certain magical incantations could alleviate ailments, and this belief generated significant faith in their methods. This illustrates that the mysterious element we're discussing has been a constant through history, revealing its power when accompanied by faith. We then move to ancient Greece, where healing was intertwined with religious practices. People believed that illness were punishment from the gods for displeasing them. They sought healing through worship, purification rituals, and sacrifices in temples dedicated to these deities, where patients would prepare their bodies and souls for healing. Trust in these processes and the presence of faith facilitated healing. The priests, serving as both healers and religious figures, would guide patients through ceremonies that enhanced belief and eventual recovery. The Romans adopted many Greek healing practices, blending them with their own. They categorized healers into three distinct groups: practical healers, who relied on diet and cleanliness; philosophical healers, who favored charm and magic; and mystical healers, who believed vengeful gods sent diseases. Despite their varying methods, they all acknowledged that healing sometimes occurred due to the patient's faith. This reflects our present-day experiences where faith remains a powerful component in medical recovery. As we analyze healing practices from ancient times to today, it's crucial to recognize that the methodologies might differ, but the underlying principle of faith remains a common thread. Just as ancient peoples sought help from divine sources, many today turn to faith as a source of hope during challenging times. Overall, the historical perspective reveals that healing, whether through ancient remedies or modern medicine, relies heavily on faith. In our study of suggestive therapy, we aim to uncover this mysterious element so that you can incorporate it into your healing practices and life. Understanding and utilizing the power of faith can transform outcomes, reminding us of its enduring significance throughout history.
Thank you. And so as a reminder, as we look at this slide on faith, it is the essential factor that releases the great power within that brings health and vitality. we're going to talk about, right now we're talking about philosophy. There is a rhyme and a rhythm to how does that happen. Just having faith, there's a process. But it is the key into the subconscious where innate resides. And chiropractic has termed this power innate. Some call it spirit, some call it God, some call it consciousness, there's a lot of names. There's hundreds and hundreds of names. But if you hear the word innate, that was a special word that the power within was named. All right, this next, questions by the way, comments on that section. Anybody had something you saw that you went, wow, I didn't realize that, or something I just became aware of?
Wait for the microphone.
Yeah. It's just evident that basically without faith, then it doesn't matter what the suggestion is, because they're not going to participate in it.
That's right. So, and here's where we're going with this. We're setting you up for, well, how do we get that faith? Well, what does it take to make that faith? And we'll point out why it is. Because you could be walking around your community and accept a suggestion and you go, well, I didn't have faith in that. Well, there's more to it. But first it starts with you allowing your conscious, logical thinking mind to quiet down and just let it in. Especially late at night. The late night commercials. There's a lot of reasons we'll talk about. Now this next category on how the healing principle works. I'm going to read this because I wouldn't want to do any of you the service of reading what I'm about to have to read. I have practiced. Some of these words are hard. But I want to start, so now to discuss an essential aspect of healing, this mysterious element that constitutes or contributes to cures beyond the remedies themselves. This element often hinges on faith, which can unlock the body's inherent healing abilities. As we've learned, when patients have strong faith in their treatment, the result can often lead to remarkable healing. The proper credit for a cure lies not so much in the remedy. It could be something quite unpleasant, but in the patient's belief that treatment will work. This healing principle exists within all of us, and it is this mysterious something that we're going to explore today. We don't need to cover every ancient healing practice, but a couple examples will demonstrate how faith was integral to cures. So we move to the early French Empire. It was widely believed that the king possessed some divine power to heal. Annually, on April 8th, crowds traveled to Paris to witness the miracle, and after crawling up the steps to the king's throne, a patient would touch the king's finger and believe that they were healed simply by being in his presence. Now, this ritual demonstrates that even when physical remedies were absent, the act of showing faith in authority, or in this case, royal power, could unlock the healing principle within. Examining historical medicine in England and beyond reveals similar trends. Apothecary shops sold concoctions that often included repellent ingredients, such as the hair of a hanged man or the claws of a crab. And despite the grotesqueness of these remedies, many people took them with faith that they would heal, and in many cases they did experience relief. Now this next section is, I'm taking word for word from Dr. Fleet's Phase 1 course. This was what I'm calling the original course in suggestion, because he teaches how do you contact and direct and work with this power that does the healing. So I want you to get the big idea as I read of where we've come from and what still applies today. So it says, if you look into the history of medicine and you go back to the year 1618, you would recognize that the cure of disease all depended on the faith of the patient in the remedy the doctor used. So we shall quote from the 3rd edition of the Reference Handbook of the Medical Sciences, published by William Wood and Company, New York City, 1914. And it's quoted. It is stated that the 1st edition of the London Pharmacopoeia, published in 1618, contains a list of 1,960 remedies, of which 1,028 were simples. These are a single ingredient, they're not mixed. 91 animal remedies and 271 vegetable remedies. And among these were worms, lozenges of dried vipers, fox's lungs, for asthma, of course, powders of precious stones, oil of bricks, good luck, oil of ants, oil of wolves, and butter made in May for ointments. There's Vigo's plaster, compounded of viper's flesh, with live frogs and worms. And the celebrated antidote of Mattioli, made up of about 230 ingredients, including those of the multifarious mithridate and the Theriaca andromache. The Pharmacopoeia of 1650, well, it contains the moss of the skull of a person who had died a violent death. And Gasboigne's powder, compounded of bezoar, amber, pearls, crab's eyes, coral, and the black tops of crab claws, not the white ones. In addition, of 1667, there was a gratifying absence of the Greek and Arabian names of the medicaments, showing that their influence was disappearing, while such standard remedies as jalap, cinchona bark, burn alum, digitalis, etc., including Irish whiskey, had made their appearance, as had also human urine, recommended by Madame de Sévigné. This talented lady was also strongly advised viper meat to temper, purify, and refresh blood. And it was even claimed that Sir Kenelm Digby had poisoned his wife by too much frequent administration of viper's wine, given for cosmetic purposes. I think we have some of that still today, like things like Botox. Innumerable strange and more or less disgusting remedies appear in all three of these pharmacopoeias, such as horns, hoofs, excreta of animals of all sorts, eggs, viscera, bones, claws. Listed also were fur and feathers and isinglass, human perspiration, saliva of a fasting man, human placenta, cast-off snakeskin, woodlice, swallow's nest, and the triangular wormian bone from the junction of the sagittal and lamboid sutures of the skull of a executed criminal. Similarly, in America during the 19th century, patent medicine sellers preyed on the gullibility of consumers with flashy labels and promises of cures for all ailments. While these remedies often lacked legitimate medical backing, the belief in their effectiveness was crucial and sometimes resulted in genuine healing outcomes. And as we moved into our modern times, our understanding of health shifted. While early beliefs centered on external cures for disease or causes for disease, contemporary healers began to explore the internal processes. This evolution reflects a growing recognition that much healing depends not only on the physical treatment, but also on the patient's psychological state. And throughout modern history, an honest inquiry into human anatomy and physiology has consistently demonstrated the body-mind connection, that playing a pivotal role in maintaining health. And then, the healing principle is deeply influenced by belief and faith, whether it was in ancient times with kings and mystical remedies, or today with modern medicine. The capacity for healing often relies on the faith we place in these practices. By understanding and harnessing this mysterious element, we can help unlock the natural healing potential in both ourselves and those we seek to treat. Now, if you look at the slide, this is what I was referencing as to the power that governs this universe. There's many names for ideally the same power. These are just a few, depending on what area and who you're talking with. If we're talking religion, we might speak in spirit. If we're talking science, we might speak in energy or nature. If we're talking psychology, we might have other names for consciousness. Whatever the term is, this is the power that does the healing. But how do you contact and direct? How do you harness and understand the power? Well, it starts with one principle called faith. Confidence in the remedy. And as you said here, it's not just the treatment. The treatment has a factor, but that's not what does the healing. And so as we look at this, I'm going to introduce you, I'm just going to wet your lips to this so that when you take the next course, when you take the suggestive course and the concept therapy course, you have an idea, you have some brain cells beginning to understand. So if we look at this, we have a fourfold nature. We're going to call it body, mind, soul, spirit, at least from a theological look for a minute. We've defined it as life is the action of the spirit and the soul through the matter that makes up the body. We'll develop this. We are a soul activated by the spirit operating through the medium that is the body. Now, we know that the brain is not divided up like this, so just get the idea. You don't have the soul up top and the mind in the middle and the spirit there. That's not, it's just for understanding purposes, but it helps to see things like this and understand. Now, the fact of life consists of the interaction that takes place normally between three components. This is the personality. So, soul, spirit, body. What's missing? Mind. We teach that we don't have a mind. The mind is a function of the cells of the brain. It's a function. Go dissect your mind. Where is it at? You don't find it. And there's many names for mind, but it's a function. So what we're dealing with are three components. Now, if we want to look at it from a science or an objective point of view, we can change the names. We could say this is the originative factor because it originates. Its function is to originate. Spirit, it executes the function. Where? In our body or in our life. So remember this, whether we're talking from a theology standpoint, from a science or objective standpoint, we create words that mean things. It only has meaning to whatever meaning you put to it. If I ask all of you what is, who or what and where is God, we would come up with 80 different renditions of that. It's based on the ideas that we have in our mind. Why does it matter? Well, because of this. There's this thing called a basic concept. It's a fixed idea in this consciousness that forms a base, a foundation, a starting point. What fixes it? Emotion, association, thought, feeling, repetition. It's what gets repeated and that we associate with and that we have faith in and that we believe and we keep making a habit of that shows up as our command, as our software. This is why our children, let's just say that they have their mind is somewhat blank. Let's just say that is when they're born. Everything that goes in is truth to them until they change it. Or till we tell them, that's bad, that's good, that's hot, that's cold, don't, do. And they look at our faces. All of those are basic concepts that go in, and their whole life is run by that until either they change it or someone else changes it. And here's how it happens. Seeds of autosuggestion. We talked about 80% of all disease has its basis somewhere in this autosuggestion. Here's how it works. Things, thoughts, and acts of the person. Things, thoughts, or acts here, you have feeling about them. You repeat them. You believe in them. You associate things with them. That allows it to drop into your subconscious. It now becomes a concept because you fixed it in there. It was just an idea. Now it's actually a concept. And once it lands in here, it's going to show up in your body and it's going to show up in your life. That's how it works. If we wanted to use the neural correlates for this, those of you that like the science, then what would happen is your cortex, your prefrontal cortex takes an idea sends it down to the amygdala, to the hippocampus, to the basal ganglia, and if you make a habit of it or you have some type of emotional involved, it will make it express into the body and into your life. That's what happens. But in a philosophy of life, we're trying to give ideas. It's not pure science, it's not pure theology, it's an idea to help you think with. Something that's workable. So that's an auto. And by the way, you see these alphabets here? You see an X and a Y and a Z. Well, we've also, I put this together from a mathematical formula so you can see a ratio or a proportion to see how this works. Some of you like math, you get it. So the X represents the originative or the soul or the conscious. The Y would be the spirit or the subconscious or the executive function, just different names. The Z is the material medium or the body. So by the way, whatever shows up in your body, you'll learn came from here, which came from there. And that's the neat thing about us being given choice in us, and so we can choose to live the life we like. Now, what happens if there is two or more? See, if it's just you, it's called autosuggestion. But if it's two or more, it's called suggestion. So these are how a seed gets planted into your body and your life. There's a thing and a thought and an act, the acting as an origination point. Commercials, your parents, your teachers, your preachers, your area of study. I know I was indoctrinated heavily in chiropractic, so you can put chiropractic here. I accepted that idea. I believed in all my heart and had all the faith in the world till I would fight for it. It drops down into my life. I repeat, and everything I do is chiropractic, chiropractic, chiropractic. It shows up in my body and my life. My teachers, my school, Dr. Dee Palmer, Dr. Fleet, all of these ideas I've associated with, I've allowed in, and now my life's expressing it through teaching the principles. But this is how, that's on a positive side, in my opinion. This can be the same thing. Negative idea drops in, drops in. You want to know what's going on in your body or life? It's showing up here. It's because there's a concept operating. There's an operating system that if you change it, you can change it constructively or destructively. So that's just wetting your lips. We go into plenty on this in our courses. Suggestion is that right there. You see it in full force. Say this is the doctor. The doctor has a lot of ideas on how he's going to fix you. You trust the doctor. You have faith in the doctor. You believe in what he does. You allow the idea to drop down as a concept, a fixed idea, a healthy, fixed idea. It goes into your body and life. You take the medicine, you get better. You do the exercise, you get better. You eat a certain food, you get better. You do not accept the idea, that doesn't happen. It's worthy of understanding how this happens so you can take a negative idea and not allow it in, or a positive idea and allow it in. It's how prayer works. When someone else prays for you, that's what's happening. You have faith and you believe and you allow that in. If there's any doubt, it might not work. Those that get instant healings, they have all the faith in the world that the power is good. The power, the subconscious, the spirit, this executive function, subconscious, it just does what it's told. It doesn't think. It doesn't reason. That's your job. All right, questions on all of that? That's a lot, and I just wetting your lips because that is what's behind what we're teaching. If people understood that, their results would be more consistent. All right, questions or comments before we talk about this riddle? All right. Was that interesting?
Processing.
Yes. Okay. The riddle that cures. Next person that would love and is inspired to read this section. Okay.
Okay. Now we're going to delve into a fascinating aspect of healing, the ongoing riddle of what truly cures. As healing practices evolved in America, so did the understanding that it's not just the treatment itself that brings about healing, but also the faith and belief surrounding it. Initially, America faced various challenges with unregulated healers. Over time, regulations were enacted requiring those to treat diseases to have formal training in their field. This led to the establishment of schools for various healing professions, such as osteopathy, which posited that disease resulted from blockages in the body's fluids. Osteopaths emphasized manipulative techniques and massage to restore health. In 1895, a notable event in healing history occurred when D.D. Palmer, a magnetic healer, adjusted a misaligned vertebrae in a patient named Harvey Lillard, who miraculously regained his hearing. From this, chiropractic as a discipline was born, focusing on spinal alignment to promote overall well-being. As chiropractic evolved, different schools emerged, each advocating various techniques for spinal adjustments. Some favored the hole-in-one technique, targeting the cervical spine, while others focused on the sacroiliac area, known as the basic technique. Though these methods varied, they all shared a common thread: the importance of a patient's faith in their chosen treatment. While chiropractic gained traction, the medical field also saw rapid evolution. The dominant belief was that diseases could be cured through the proper medications. For example, sulfa drugs were once hailed as miracle cures, only later to be linked with severe side effects such as anemia and leukemia. This history teaches us that the medical profession is often subject to change and discovery, further revealing the elusive nature of what truly heals. Regardless of the treatment type, be it medication or chiropractic adjustments, what often leads to real cures is the patient's faith in the method. There are numerous case studies of individuals with migraine headaches who found relief through various techniques. So what cured those headaches? Was it the technique or the belief in the method? It's clear that for healing to occur, individuals must have complete faith in their treatment. This mysterious element, which often leads to recovery, is not merely a technique, but a powerful force that works when faith is present. The history of healing reminds us that techniques are merely means to an end. The real healing power lies in understanding and embracing this mysterious element that faith unlocks. As we move forward in our respective practices, let's remember that this principle of faith is integral in effective healing.
Thank you. So here's something new on faith. We mentioned that faith means confidence, and that's how we're using it. Now, it's required for the formation of a composite personality. Now, we haven't talked about this thing, but it's not difficult. We already talked about personality. It's the soul, the spirit, the body. Or it's the originative factor, the executive factor, the material medium. Or the conscious, the subconscious body. However you want to word it. It's the X, the Y, and then the Y, the Z. Composite means two or more. Two or more have come together acting as one. Or two or more are gathered in my name. Two or more. You're joined together as one, operating as one. Doctor, patient, they come together. All the components are there. Healing occurs if the two are acting as one. The doctor's playing his role, the patient's playing their role. If either one of them is not doing their role, it may be difficult for healing to occur. But most importantly, it's the patient having faith and accepting the idea. Now, the required faith is obtained through, number one, fascination. Now, if you look up that word, it's pretty fascinating because there's a lot to do with fascination. One way is you totally let your conscious mind go. Think about relationships. He's the one. There's nothing wrong. Everything is perfect. You are so fascinated that you've let your conscious reasoning ability go down, and you're allowing all the things that are said and done. You have missed that he doesn't have a nose. He smells. He has zero money. But you're wooed by his deep, dark voice. So we're fascinated. Stage hypnotists do this. You're like, wow. Football games. Oh. The movies, the big screen, the smell. You're opening yourself up to suggestion. And sometimes you know it, and sometimes you don't. So, but this is a very weak weak way. It comes and goes. The bonds are come and go. Second way is you gain an agreement. Agreement is a strong bond. I agree to do what you say, doctor. I trust you, I have faith in you, and I agree to follow the remedy. I agree with you to follow the medication just as prescribed. I agree to do the vitamin. I agree. I agree to do my part. Two ways to have faith, in this case, confidence. Those are the two ways. And you could not even know that you're fascinated by. There's things today that you are absolutely fascinated by. Could be me. But the idea is when you let your conscious mind down and you give your authority up to some other authority, one of those two ways you're allowing their suggestions to become your suggestions. And that could be good, and that could be not. And some of you in here aren't letting anything in. You're like, not a chance. But we'll find out when we do our demonstration a little bit how easy it is to place a suggestion into your body and have the power in your body carried out. And you're going to love it. And you're like, wow, that's too easy. Yeah, and I'm not officially, some of you I'm an authority to, and some of you I'm not. But you'll watch it happen. This book is a very, let's say you're not into taking classes and courses, but you do like simple books to read. The Power That Heals, you can get this from the Institute. It's a very simple overview of these principles from Dr. Fleet's son that wrote this book. So if you want it, order it. If you don't, don't. But it's a worthy read. And then us practicing this idea of healing, most of us get caught in the material remedy. I have a lot of material things here. If you get on this machine, it'll help you, that machine, this machine, all these machines. Well, those are suggestions to aid the healing. But we forget what does the healing. It's the power within that does the healing. Your faith and the doctor's faith and all that opens the door, but it's not the doctor. It's not the technique. It's the power within that does the healing. This same power helps manifest and create things. The same power, the principles involved here is how we learn to communicate in relationships. All of this is taught in these two courses. The course that I'm promoting right now is the applied version of the philosophy, the suggestive therapy. I'll talk more about it. This was created in 1963. Dr. Fleet's original and foundational course, Concept Therapy, was in 1944. It is the foundation for everything that he teaches. So the only way you can take this course, but without either, you have to take this course to move further and further into the coursework. It's kind of the preliminary. But I'll explain more what these courses are as we go. But it all is stated in these. All right, last section before break. So hold on. One more section. We'll do a demonstration. We'll do break. Yes. Mary, question. Question right here.
I got you, Mary. I'm not going to you. Okay. What about children? A 3-year-old who has life-threatening disease. Does it take special practitioners to build this so that even though the child doesn't know the word faith, they're going to have the faith?
There's a couple ideas here. Assuming first we got to know, is this a physical?
Cancer.
Okay. So this is a tough one because ideally you would go through all the approaches necessary to help that child. You would have to figure out the origin. You look at family history. If this is purely medical, then you have your choice. But along the way, children often resonate with their parent. So the faith is in the parent and establishing the bond with the parent and those involved to help there. And then also positive suggestions to the child. They're healing fast, they have but is it physical, is it mental, is it emotional? Usually we'll find it's all three. So you handle it medical, you handle the medical however you're raised and the smart thing to do. You handle the physical with whatever remedies need to be handled, and then you handle the emotional by lots of love. But that's a great question. If you were to bring me a 3-year-old like that, I'd make sure that you're doing all the appropriate things, and then I'd add my to it. But each person has their own. By the way, I'll throw this one out just because it came to mind. Remember since I started the 2020 with COVID, and then we had the question, the vaccination or no vaccination, and everybody has an opinion. I had an instance with one of those employees that came to me and said, the military says I have to make a decision, and if I don't make a decision, I cannot no longer be in the military. And I said, so do you want to stay in the military? And she said, yeah. I said, well, then you take the vaccine. Well, but what if I'm nervous about it? I said, then you offer yourself this suggestion, that your body will take what it needs to heal and it'll get rid of what it doesn't need. And I said, you repeat that and you believe that. Your body is sharp enough to take what it needs to be safe and eliminate anything that you perceive as not. Solved all the problems. She took it, she was happy, she was grateful for it, that the military cared enough for her to offer her a suggestion. She offered herself a suggestion. Everybody's happy, no side effects. So think about that when you are up against a tough place where you're making the decision. Well, then offer yourself a great suggestion that your body is sharp, smart, and it'll do what it has to do under the circumstances. Because most of the people that had ill effects had a negative suggestion placed by someone, something, or themselves. Those that had positive had complete faith. Those that had complete faith couldn't see why these didn't, and those were here. So you have to go based on, you have to work out your own salvation. All right. Any other questions? Last section before break, so hang on there, then we'll do a cool demonstration, so get ready. Next person that would like to read. Sure. Oh, we have, yep, there we go.
Now I would like to introduce you to an innovative perspective on healing that integrates mind and body, one that emphasizes the essential role of faith in the healing process. This approach isn't just about the techniques employed. It's about the beliefs and expectations of both the patient and the practitioner. As we often see, patients will seek out the healer of their choice, whether that be a medical doctor, chiropractor, or any other practitioner. Interestingly, practitioners who do not implement physical adjustments or medications can still achieve remarkable healing outcomes. For example, spiritual practitioners often rely solely on the power of the mind and faith. It's essential to recognize that many people who seek alternative therapies, like those offered by spiritual practitioners, often experience healing due to their strong belief in the treatment. Historical accounts demonstrate that even physical ailments such as broken bones have been known to heal through faith alone, underscoring the significant role that faith plays in the recovery process. Ultimately, the crude of the matter is that no specific approach guarantees healing. What's vital is the faith of the patient. D.D. Palmer, remarkable case of Harvey Lillard, who regained his hearing after an adjustment, illustrates this point. While there is no anatomical connection between the fourth thoracic vertebrae and hearing, the underlying faith in the adjustment played a critical role. As we move into modern approaches, we see the psychological methods have laid the groundwork for psychosomatic medicine, influenced by pioneers such as Freud and Charcot. This field acknowledges that emotional disturbances can manifest physically, suggesting that the mind and body are intricately entwined. Modern psychiatry assesses these issues, unveiling how suppressed emotions can impact overall health. However, it's important to note that the field of psychiatric treatment is diverse and often contested, leading to confusion. Just like in chiropractic care, where different schools embrace different techniques, Psychiatry encompasses a range of theories about the root causes of illness. This variety can lead patients to feel lost in the multitude of approaches available. Moreover, healing isn't solely an internal process. It involves our social environment and genetic influences. Many people face challenges not just from within, but also from societal pressures that impact their mental and physical health. Recognizing and addressing these external factors is essential for effective healing. In the future, we envision a shift in which practitioners are not merely seen as healers of diseases, but as creators of health and well-being. This new philosophy encourages health professionals to focus on fostering well-being rather than solely addressing ailments. By understanding the creative process in health, practitioners would seek to cultivate health in areas previously dominated by disease. The new body and mind approach to healing emphasizes that effective treatment is rooted in the patient's faith and the practitioner's ability to inspire that faith, alongside understanding psychological and genetic influences. Together, we can foster a more holistic view of health, one that empowers both the healer and the patient in the journey toward health creation.
Thank you much. So here's this slide that summarizes it again. These are the factors of personality: soul, the spirit, the body. Change to originative, one that originates, an executive, one that executes, and a place for it to go. Remember I told you those that like math? Well, this is your proportion. This is your ratio. X is to Y. So soul is to spirit. This tells this. Originative to executive. This tells this. And then this Y is to Z. This then puts it here. This then puts it there. That's the process of creation. That's the process of healing. That's the process of communication. And this is in a person, a personality. We put this together as a whole. Now, you hear about the laws of the universe. You teach a lot on the laws of the universe, the laws that God put in place to operate the world. Cause and effect. So here's cause and effect from a theological standpoint. The soul chooses, decides what they're going to do, impresses the spirit. The spirit expresses the effects into the material factor. Okay? Or let's use more of a psychology idea. The conscious mind impregnates the subconscious mind, which then manifests it in the body. You have an idea, you make a habit of it, it shows up in the body. We could say cortex, prefrontal cortex, subconscious amygdala, basal ganglia, hippocampus, into now our body. Same idea. Or we can go from a universal objective standpoint. Originative factor impresses the executive factor expresses in the material. This is how it happens. An idea becomes a concept. The concept comes into manifestation in the body. Same thing you create in your life. You have an idea, you think about it, you dream about it, you picture it, you image it, you carry out all the details, it shows up. Same old, the principle is the same, but since we talk about creation, you want to manifest, you want to understand manifestation and all of that you hear out there, well, same manifestation formula for creation. You ever heard this? Ask and you shall receive. Knock and the door shall be open. That's where it's at. And then if you add a person to make a composite, now where two or more are gathered, you create. Questions, thoughts, comments? Yes, ma'am. We got a question back here. Wait for the mic.
It's not really a question.
Okay.
It's more of a comment.
Yes.
But on the diagram, because you've had it on several slides, and I just keep looking at it, and I'm just like, what does this remind me of? What does this remind me of? But I'm Christian, so I'm speaking from a Christian background. But if you look at any instance in the Bible over and over and over, it's giving you instances where it's telling you that your body needs to be subservient to your spirit. So if you consistently bloat the body over and over with doubt, or fear or worry, it's going to overpower the spirit. That's where things come from, like fasting, where you strengthen the spirit, you strengthen the subconscious, you strengthen this conscious. So even within the diagram you have, whether it was on purpose or whether it's just because of the way I'm looking at it, it looks like your spirit and your conscious is supposed to outweigh your body every time. It's supposed to give you, like, and even within, if you go deeper into Matthew or whatever, you have the spirit of a mustard seed, which is incredibly small. That in itself outweighs every other thing, because you only need a crack to get through your subconscious to change it.
Yeah, and depending on how you view, I'll give you an idea. Let's talk about, you choose to eat a biscuit. You can choose anything that you want to eat, but you choose a biscuit. You, as the conscious portion, the originative factor, the soul, picks the biscuit that you want to eat. You have all the choice in the world, what kind, how you do it, how many times you chew it, and then when you swallow it. But the moment you swallow the biscuit, all your originative power and ability is gone. You have turned it over to the power that made the body. Whether we call that the spirit, God, innate, consciousness, nature, guess what? That now has the power, because we made a suggestion. We said, take this food and do what you will. See, we only have control of the outside of our body in our particular, some parts of our life, but we don't have control of what happens on the inside. Once we throw the suggestion to the power doesn't care. The spirit doesn't care what you put in there. It is non-judgmental. It says, oh, I have an order. Take the biscuit. Okay, good. I need blood cells, I need tissue cells, I need muscle cells. Oh, there's something there I don't need. Let me get rid of that. Even if we put poison in it, it does let's take something very poison. It takes the best it can and tries to use it. And then if it can't, it'll take something from a muscle or bone and then use that. So the way that we're defining this power within, whatever construct you want to use, and that's what gets us confused sometimes, is that you had choice, you turned it over, and that power took your suggestion and did what it knows it needs to do. And that's the problem that happens with disease, is we give it a suggestion, it doesn't care good or bad, it doesn't see right or wrong, it just says, aye, aye, Captain, carries out the order. So in essence, God, when he turned over choice to us in the garden, if we take that construct, we now have the knowledge of good and evil. We now have the choice of right and wrong, and we choose it, and God still says, I love you so much, I'll do what you tell me to do within the construct of your body. But I'll still run the heart, I'll still run the lungs, I'll still run your digestive, unless you interfere with it. But I'll do the best I can, but I can only work with what I got. Yeah.
Okay,
Mike,
get the microphones down here.
And remember, these are just constructs of ideas to make you think with.
So I guess the one thing that keeps coming to me is Jesus says, according to your faith, be it unto you, right? Which is kind of the essence of the whole thing. According to your faith,
right?
Be it unto you.
Yeah. And that's the point. That's what opens it up, because again, depending on how you look at it and whose name you put there, there could be concepts associated with that lead us down one path. So I try to present it in different ways, and you still got to work it out for yourself. However you see it, I don't know what to tell you and how to think. I can just guide you to maybe how to think, but not what to think. Okay. Question over here.
I just wanted to piggyback off what you said based on your question, because I think that I've learned through this process kind of the idea of initially I was letting my body control me, right? Like if I had certain cravings, whatnot, I would feed them, right? As opposed to now allowing kind of the soul to be in control, right? Like, yes, I might have some particular craving, whether it's an emotional craving or a physical craving, like some food of some type or doing something, but now I can reason differently and choose, I might want the turtle sundae, that's my thing, but I'm choosing not to because I want to control what's happening. I don't want my body to control me. And that's been a big shift for me through this process.
And I want to add to this, there's this quote from a doctor. He says, first you create the habit. First, you create the habit. So here's the thing. You create the habit, and then the habit creates you. You create the habit, then the habit creates you. And the more we train the brain and myelinate the brain, the more it does exactly what we tell it to do, or what somebody else tells it to do. Because we have such faith in a parent. The parent says, this is what you do, and we believe them, then you get the product. Yes, we have a question over here. This is for online. They can hear better with the mic and the recording.
It's just a comment on the suggestion. I was 6-7 years old when my parents took me to the doctor, and they diagnosed me with diabetes type 1. So from now on, my mother all the time said, oh, she's sick, she's sick, she's sick, she's sick. You can do this because you're sick. Anyway, moving forward, at the age of 40, I was very, very sick. And that's when I got a double transplant. That's the reason I'm here in Texas. So talking about that, you know, the suggestion, yes, you hear for 30, 40 years that you're sick, you become sick.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. All right. Before we do this demo, any other questions? Yes, another comment or question right here.
I just want to piggyback off of some of the things I heard as well, and that is, when I look at the word faith, I see that as whatever we receive and choose to believe as the soul portion of our faith is executed in the spirit. Because the spirit, if I remember what you explained earlier, our spirit is what acts out or executes whatever the soul tells it to do. And so it's based off whatever you receive and then believe.
Yes. Yeah. Just introducing philosophy ideas, and it does shake up some brain cells. It shook ours a lot because we're used to thinking in a certain way. So it's just opening up your mind to a thought. And you get to do it however you want to do it. You take what you already know and you just apply the principle. Same for, okay. All right, so let's do a demonstration. Now here's, those of you that want to, this is fun. There's no embarrassing in it. What we're going to do is, our hands are going to be like magnets. One hand's going to be one side of the magnet, the other hand's going to be the other side of the magnet. And I'm going to have you in a minute picture in your mind the hands being pulled by this magnetic force coming together, and you will feel the hands come together. Don't try to make the hands come together. Let the picture pull you together, okay? So let's do this. Stand up, and you may have, some of you might have to turn sideways, some this way, some hands up. But in your right hand, I want you to picture one side of a magnet, and in the left hand, the other side of the magnet. And in your mind, you're picturing, get the thought, the idea that your hands are being pulled together by this force that's pulling you together. Don't try to make them come together. So close your eyes, feel the hands, feel the force coming together, pulling you. There's this force, it's pulling. The hands are coming together, they're coming. You feel it, don't fight it, just allow the hands to come together. See it, picture it, feel it coming together. You'll feel the pull, you're beginning to feel the pull. As they start pulling, you'll notice you won't be able to control them as they come together. Allow the picture of your hands and the magnets pulling together. Have them pull together, pull, pull, pull. It's pulling, pulling, there you go, let it go, let them come together, let your hands come together, there you go, good, they're coming, picture, picture, see it, allow the hands to pull, see your hands coming together, feel your hands coming together, allow the power to pull your hands together. There they go. Yep, let it go. Don't fight it. Let them come together. Feel that power pull them together. Good. Let it pull. There you go. Let it go. Keep going. Don't fight it. Allow the suggestion to take. There you go. Hands coming together. You feel it. Feel it. There you go. Let it go. See it. Picture it. This force pulling together. Good job. Allow it to go. It's coming. The more you picture it coming together, the strong force, it's pulling. The force is coming together. Those of you that already did it, you're fine. Just relax. There you go. All right, now open your eyes. How many of you felt at some point, you felt and you couldn't control it and the hands come together? Did you feel that? Okay. Simple, simple, simple. Some of you did it very easy. Like, you took the suggestion right away. You saw it, you good imagery. Some of you fought it because you don't know what this is like. What? I don't want anybody having control over my mind. Okay? And that's okay because you have that right. But I'm just showing you something simple. As someone standing up here talking, acting as an authority with all the things, could easily influence you to an idea if you accept it. Now, if you're just fascinated, the idea will maybe quickly fall out of your mind and you'll go back to your life. But if you make an agreement that I'm going to change the way I see things, and you went, I never heard it like that, I see it differently, that's enough to start changing your brain and how it starts to think. When you change your perception, the decisions you make and the actions you take change, whether it's constructive or destructive. All right, so with that, enjoy your break. There's food, there's bathrooms. Come back in exactly 10 minutes. He's coming? Okay. Go ahead, Jamie. All right, we're coming back. So here's the good news is the second half is much quicker than the first half. We have a little bit to cover, so we'll spend the next probably 45 minutes finishing up this, then we'll take a break and then we'll do these. I'll show you healing demonstrations by using suggestion. So anyone that has something that they would like and has faith in me to fix them, then you might be a good volunteer. If you're critical, then don't volunteer, because I'm going to pass around, those of you that are in the room, I'm going to pass around a sign-in sheet. We'd like you to sign. And then if you're interested in this type of conversation, this type of knowledge, I do have a YouTube channel. I'm going to pass this around. If you scan with your phone this middle one and subscribe to the YouTube channel, it's pretty much dedicated to body, mind, soul. I might put something out once a week. This recording will go to that channel, so you might want it so that you can follow it. So there's that. So I'll pass this around. If you don't want to, then you don't have to. But those of you online, that's on YouTube at Dr. Bobbitt Team. So occasionally I'll put something there, but it's everything in there is pertaining to this type of education. Before we move into the body-mind-soul connection, are there questions or comments from the group before we proceed? Okay. All right. An inspired reader who would like to read. Okay, Dr. JP.
Sorry, excuse me.
Under healing efforts, the body, mind, soul connection.
It is time to discuss an essential element of healing that extends beyond the physical body. As we explore the healing efforts in practice, we will examine the interconnections between the body, mind, and soul, and how each part contributes to the overall health of a person. When we first entered college, many of us had a limited understanding of the complexities of our patients or clients. Our training primarily focused on the physical aspects of health, including anatomy, physiology, and neurology. We learned how to treat the body structure with belief that removing interference could naturally lead to improved health. Once we began practicing, we quickly realized that the patient and client responses varied significantly. While some patients experienced improvements, others did not respond as expected. Some even attributed their lack of progress to their shortcomings. We often found ourselves questioning our techniques and efficiencies of our treatments. Initially, we might overlook the physiological aspects of healing, but we soon recognize that mindset plays a significant role in recovery. If a patient holds a negative perspective, we work to encourage a more positive attitude, realizing that their thoughts and beliefs can have a profound impact on their healing journey. However, we must address the soul, a component often neglected in traditional medical healing or training. The soul encompasses our essence and connection to a higher power. When patients are troubled, it may not just be their body or mind that is unwell, but rather the entire being. This is what we call soul sickness. Recognizing this aspect allows practitioner to address the whole person. Hippocrates, often referred to as the father of medicine, foresaw that future physicians would need to heal the complete individual, body, mind, and soul. Today, even with medical profession, there is a growing acknowledgement that a significant percentage of disease have mental rather than physical origins, leading to the rise of psychosomatic medicine. In our approach to suggestive therapy, we begin by teaching the concept that healing originates from a divine or universal consciousness that exists within all of us. This consciousness, referred in different contexts as innate in chiropractic or nature in medicine, represents the intelligent force behind the healing, often referred to as the subconscious. Through various healing modalities, whether chiropractic adjustments, psychotherapy, medicine, or spiritual practices, we see that when the universal power is contracted and directed through suggestion, healing results. This underscores the idea that the treatment method itself is less important than the faith and belief both the practitioner and the patient have in that treatment. Effective healing engages the complete person, body, mind, and soul, along with an acknowledgement of the universal consciousness within us. As we move forward in our practices, embracing this holistic perspective will empower us to create health, not merely treat disease.
Thank you, Doctor. So when we look at these slides, we're going back to this idea. Our fourfold nature, the way we look at things is body, mind, soul, spirit. Now we've mentioned that the mind is a function, so I'm going to go through that so you can see this. But from one ideology, we could say, you are a soul. You have a body and a mind, and this spirit is within you. We could put other words there, but just go with this for a moment. The spirit, this invisible and incorporeal principle and animating force within. Now, the soul. If we define that as you, the I am portion, think about this. You are the thinker apart from your thought. Right? You get that? You're the actor apart from your actions. You can do the same. You can say you're the feeler apart from the feelings. You're the willer apart from the voluntary action. You're the conscious subject apart from the sense phenomena. And you see choice in the middle. We have choice as to what we accept or don't accept into our lives and our bodies. We were given that choice. You could turn it over to somebody or something else if you would like. That's your choice. You have your choice in healing, you have your choice in religion, philosophy, whatever. But understand when we're referring to soul, that's the part we're talking about, at least in this version. Now watch this, the mind. This gets even really cool. I think it's cool. Look at all the different names. Conscious mind, We could say it's also called the objective mind. It's also called the superconscious mind. Or, if we were separating this, in neuroscience we would call this the prefrontal cortex, cortical structures. These would be the subcortical, amygdala, hippocampus, basal ganglia type stuff, for those of you nerds that like that. Subconscious mind, subjective mind, unconscious mind, subliminal mind. But oh, and by the way, we could call this the thinker, the actor, the feeler, the wheeler, the conscious subject, the soul, or God, nature, innate, energy, power, universal, or spirit. Whatever construct helps you in your healing process. It's the image, the idea that you agree in and have faith in is how it works. This is the science behind prayer to help you pray more effectively. Now, the reality is there is only one mind. One mind. It's the activity of the cells. It's those that become out of a normal vibration, that vibrate abnormally, that get your attention at the particular time. We teach the mind extensively in the concept therapy course, more than you could ever want to know it as a function. It's the function that reasons. We go into the types of reasoning, whether you logically think through something and make decisions, or whether you just accept ideas as they are without, either it's your choice. That's why it's a course in reasoning. You are the guardian who determines the ideas that should pass into your subjective portion. You. Now, if you want to give that power up to a teacher, to a preacher, to a parent, to a government, to an advertisement, and that does not have to be bad. That polarity is up to you, but just get that idea. Just helping you on how to think, not necessarily what to think. We mentioned this term composite. We said where two act as one. Well, how do when two act as one, they are en rapport. They're in resonance. They're in tune. It's like those of you that know instruments. Those are just different words. From a science, we'll say in resonance. In tune, maybe music. So if you have a doctor healer, the healer has an idea of health. We want perfect eliminative health for you. Your elimination system's not working so great. You trust the doctor. You have a relationship with the doctor. You have faith in the doctor and his methods for whatever reason. He's the doctor for a special team, that a professional sports team, and you know he's the best and he treats everybody, so you have faith in him that he's the one. He's going to suggest an idea to you of perfect elimination health. And if you trust and have faith, you will allow that idea to sink down as a concept. You'll fix the idea, whether through fascination or agreement, and then that will show up in your body. It's a program. It doesn't matter what the suggestion is, medication, just a thought, a picture. And then we're back to this idea of the cause of disease. So as you look at this, we said you could have a physical issue, you can have a mental issue, or you could have what you saw that word soul sickness. It could mean you as the chooser, the thinker, reasoned incorrectly on your choice and it showed up as a disease. Or you could have reasoned correctly and it showed up as health. How do you know if you're making the right choice? Well, look at your body and then look at your life. And if you like what you see, then keep accepting the suggestions. If you don't like it, then maybe modify or change the suggestion. Or the person that you're allowing to suggest for you. And that's hard in some cases, because some people have so much authority and power over us that we would never go against it, and that's okay. It has its benefits too. Again, all right, I got a little preachy there. Comments? Yeah, the preacher comes out.
I was about to say amen.
I'm sorry. By the way, I didn't introduce myself. I am a teacher. Most of my life demonstrates that I teach. So, you know, on Sundays, I teach Sunday school. I love looking at that from all sections. Right now we're in the Old Testament. I love looking at that because I get to find the universal laws right there, and then its application to the New Testament. I bring the two halves together. I love it. All day long I work on bodies. So I'm calling that part the soul part, okay, the spiritual part. Bodies are the physical part. And then I love the psychology and its impact on physiology. I love how the mind affects the body. So those of you that are patients, sometimes it's just strictly body treatment. Sometimes I'm going, what did you do? What did you allow? Doc, I just got a splinter. Oh. Take the splinter out. It's a physical problem. I'm trying to find the cause, the mental cause, yes.
I did have, hang on a second. Thinking of what you said, so I've had 2 knee surgeries, right? So the first one I had, trusted the doctor, things went very well. But then when I did the second, I went to the same doctor, and the recovery, it was worse, but the recovery was actually faster. Because I had faith in him, I knew him, so I did everything he said to do after the fact. And so the results were even better than the first time, because I was back in heels. That was my goal. Get back in my heels, back in heels even faster the second time than I was the first time. So when you talk about the power of suggestion, again, knowing the doctor the second time around, even though it was a worse condition and it was more extensive, the second surgery on the left knee was more extensive, recovery time was quicker, back in heels quicker, and no problems at all with either knee. So I'm seeing the connection here with faith in my doctor, my faith that I would be healed. Of course, I always prayed about going through surgery, but how that second time really was kind of a result of just greater faith that things would work out and not being worried about it.
And so you realize this, most healers, period. They don't know this. And so it's wise to listen to what suggestions are being given to you. If you don't do this, this thing's going to happen. Oh, I don't know if I want to accept that or not. Sometimes scare is a type of fascination. Most of us don't fall for scare tactics, but some of us do. The doctor said if I don't do this, now again, doctors, they have a job, but it's not their job to heal you. It's your job to heal you, to have the faith, have the ideas. If it's what you want, then find a different doctor. But we sometimes put all our trust and faith in a healer and want them to do all the work. You have a part. And when you have that agreement, you make a composite and you come together and you make an agreement, it's on both parties now. If you give all your power over to someone else, you're going to be disappointed maybe. And so there's plenty of people that understand this, and when they go to the doctor, they know what to accept and what not. They're going with faith that they're going to get what they need, and if the doctor says something other, they know how to take it out. They're like, I'm not accepting that. I'm allowed this part of this to work and this part not.
Yes.
But it's knowing how to think. You had back here in the back?
Just a second, we need a microphone.
Yeah, the online people can hear with the mic.
Well, I was just going to say I was agreeing with that because I have been miraculously healed 4 times, and I've had doctors tell me many times, like when I was a kid, I was born with my mother had severe toxemia, and we were both supposed to die, and then the doctors said that I was going to be crippled by the age of 30, wrong again. I didn't accept that. And then when I was 2, I was diagnosed with a seizure condition, which for years they would tell me, you just got to face reality, this is what you have, and I'd say, no, God is my healer. And I have been 11 years without any seizures, no medications. And I told people, and people would come up to me, you got to face reality, Brenda, this is going to happen. I said, no, I am facing reality through Christ, and he is my healer. And the doctor actually wrote me a letter dismissing anything because he started agreeing with me because the signs were turning around.
And so there are cases that a large percent of cases that the idea has some type of psychosomatic factor. Then there are other physical cases that are what they are. And there is a medical way to treat. So I want to make sure that we're clear on, if it's physical, it's physical. If it's mental, it's mental. Okay, if it's spiritual, it's spiritual. And the most effective way is to choose the right way there, but the suggestions can always go with it. You can always think about what Mama did when you scraped your knee. What'd she do? She kissed it. Now, is that medical and all? No, it needed ointment. She put ointment on it sometimes, kissed it, put ointment on it, put a Band-Aid on it. We did the medical. She gave you a great suggestion, and she did the physical. She did all three. We didn't know that's what was happening. All three. And every issue has all three. There's laws of the body. We don't follow the laws of the body shuts down. There's laws of the mind, there's laws of the soul. Okay, who else? We got anything else? Okay.
Okay, so Dr. Bobbitt, my question, when we first start reading in the definition of faith, and when the word perfect faith came up, that was like big. I wrote it down, perfect faith, and then what does that look like in my life? So I want to ask you, how does someone develop perfect faith? Because when I think of perfect, I think of faith that at any point there's no doubt whatsoever that comes up that what you expect or what you have confidence in will happen.
That's right.
I often, I can have faith in something, and then 3 days later I'll be like, wait a second, I don't know if this is gonna happen. How do you attain, or how can you stick with the perfect faith?
Oh, your feedback is great, because when you have uncertainty, there's a part of the equation that you're not aware of. You start asking questions. What am I uncertain of? Do I have a fantasy? Is there a nightmare? Is someone in my ear? Because when you have confidence and certainty, there is no question. So if you have to ask a question, you don't have certainty. But when you know, you know. And I'll give you an example. For someone, well, I'll just say it. When you're saved, you knew you're saved. Those of you that understand that idea, there was no doubt. When you have zero doubt in something, you have certainty. If you don't have certainty, that means it's not perfect faith. You have, now, even though you can have the faith of, if you had perfect faith and it was the size of a mustard seed, it would move the mountain. But any doubt lessens that significant healing. So you say, I have faith, I'm going to be healed. But are your actions following with the faith? I know I'm going to be healed of diabetes, but I'm not quitting eating sugar. But I have perfect faith, I'm going to be healed. I have no doubt. But your laws of the body, that's why knowing the laws of the universe, God set the laws in play. You violate the law, you don't get the product, no matter how much of this you hear and say. There's more to the equation. But I'm introducing the philosophy of how suggestion could help, but then there is the application. And we know there's two sides to one coin to make perfect faith. So any doubt, you don't have certainty to that degree, you got to ask questions. What am I doubting? Is it the authority? Do you have some fixed idea, some concept in your mind that you're comparing? Last time I did this happened. Every time I do this happens. Now there's ideas associated with what you're trying, and that's what we're trying to do with this idea of working with ideas, is strip that stuff out or identify when you're faulty thinking so you can reason logically and then make a decision. Because when you're certain, you know. And when you know, you don't decide. Decision is still a choice between positive or negative. Indecision is, I don't care either way, but I prefer the positive. When you act, you just act. So perfect faith, you act. The lady that touched the hem, perfect faith. Everything about that was wrong, but she moved. Every healing biblically, your faith has made you whole. Your faith has healed you. Now, go pick up your bed. Go do this. Go sin no more. Turn, repent. Everything had this and that. And we just haven't got to that, because other than we'd be here all day. Great question. Okay, I gotta move. One more question. No? Okay, we'll come back. Faith plus the image. Faith. Now, we're adding dimensions here. Because everybody says, oh, faith. Okay, I get it. It takes faith. I got it. It takes faith. It's fascinating. I got it. Oh, wait, what's this image idea? When we were doing our demonstration, I said picture, image, see, visualize. That's how the brain works. All right, reader for this section. Who would like to read this section, please? Okay.
Now let's discuss an important aspect of healing that combines the power of faith with the mental image we create. Understanding how these two elements interact can significantly enhance our ability to support our patients' healing journeys. The role of the spirit in healing. At the core of healing is the spirit, and it is the healer's role to tap into this healing spirit by conveying a clear image of the expected outcome to the patient or client. When a patient or client has a positive image of healing, the spirit can effectively mobilize this energy, resulting in physical changes within the body. Anecdotes of childhood beliefs. Let me, Dr. Fleet, illustrate this with a few personal anecdotes. Growing up in Virginia, there was a belief that wearing a bag of asafoetida, pungent spice around the neck would protect children from colds. Despite the absurdity of this practice, the faith we held in it made a significant difference. Few of us caught colds while wearing it. Similarly, older men in my town believed that carrying a buckeye in their pocket would prevent rheumatism. I once playfully took my grandfather's buckeye, and as soon as he noticed it was gone, he began to feel the familiar pain. When I returned it, his pain vanished. These stories illustrate the profound impact of powerful beliefs and imagery on our physical and mental health, the influence of faith. Jesus, regarded as the greatest healer, emphasized the importance of faith in the healing process with his statement, "According to your faith, be it unto you." This reflects the significant relationship between mind and body that can lead to healing outcomes. Historical healing practices often relied on the faith patients had in their remedies, which were sometimes ineffective by modern standards, but yielded results due to the firm belief held by patients and clients. The image of healing. For effective healing, it is essential to establish the right mental image and foster faith in that image. Many healers utilize various techniques, each developed based on different assumptions about where testament should occur to achieve healing. Regardless of the technique, the common denominator for healing is often the patient's faith in their chosen method. For instance, if a patient believes that a specific vertebra needs adjustment to alleviate constipation, holding on to that belief can activate their innate consciousness to promote healing. Diverse healing modalities. Let's consider 3 patients who are all suffering from constipation. Patient number 1 sees a chiropractor who believes in adjusting the second lumbar vertebrae. If this patient has faith in the process, they may achieve relief. Patient number 2 sees a medical doctor and, with faith in the prescribed medication, also experiences improvement. Patient number 3 visits a spiritual practitioner and visualizes their organs functioning perfectly, leading to recovery. These examples show that belief in the chosen treatment, whether it be chiropractic, medical, or spiritual, triggers the body's healing process. The power of suggestion. What unites these cases is that they all rely heavily on the imagery and faith that patients and clients hold. When the mind acknowledges a healing image, that faith travels deep into the subconscious, engaging the innate to enact healing. This principle is not limited to just one type of healing. Whether it's chiropractic adjustments, medicine, or alternative therapies, the common thread remains faith. Healing is about much more than just physical intervention. It involves nurturing faith and establishing a positive image image in the patient's mind. As healthcare practitioners, our task is to facilitate this process, helping others unlock their healing potential.
Thank you. And just a reminder, this course was created for the 80% of the issues that are psychosomatic of the mind. So there are conditions that aren't that, and they need to be treated. So I just want to remind you of that, because sometimes we can get caught in making the assumption that every condition just needs a suggestion. Okay? You don't have water in the body, you need water. There are laws of the body. Just making that clear, because I don't want to create this fascination that all you have to do is have faith, take a suggestion, and you're all well. There are still applications of action that have to be taken place. You notice on this slide there's the word communication. Well, the healing process is the same principles as communication. And let me explain. Whether it's a doctor and a healer, and a patient, a client, whether this is a parent or a child, a husband or a wife, a boss or an employee. The same idea, they make a composite. The two act as one. That is established through faith, through confidence, either by fascination or they have an agreement. Like marriage would be a wedding ring. The two become one. They became a union together. They had an agreement. Death do us part. Whatever the vows you have. Now, the doctor has an idea. He's going to suggest a healing idea to his patient. Or the parent is going to suggest a constructive idea to their child. Well, how do you get the suggestion across? Well, suggestion can either be done through gestures. Let me give you a gesture. Or strong, or cut that out, or, you know, the eye that we get? Yeah, so gestures can communicate. Universal sign for what? That's a gesture. In the gesture carries the suggestion, I am choking. You didn't say that, it communicates that. That communicates from here to there. It says, help me. Or it can be through speech. This is what we can just communicate with our speech. Education, teaching, writing. Doctors do it all the time with their script pad. They're writing a suggestion, take this, you'll be healed. It's a suggestion. Pictures. I use pictures. You look over there. There's pictures. I use pictures to convey an image. You see it. Some people learn better with pictures. Some with audio. Some visual. Some through hearing. But others, they feel. There's another route. Subconscious to subconscious. This is vibratory. It happens whether you know it or not. So the point, when you have this union, when you have this resonance, this rapport, when you are in tune with another individual, your thoughts vibrate to them. This is why they say you didn't have to say anything. You said enough, positive or negative. It communicates. You walk into a room and you feel the room. You're like, okay, they're talking about me. That's the vibratory route. This is innate to innate, subconscious to subconscious, spirit to spirit. The spirit knows its own. Yes, when two or more are gathered together, they come into accord, the two become as one, and whatever message is there becomes the overarching message. Whether we're communicating, whether we're healing, it all happens through suggestion. These are verbal, this is nonverbal. This is powerful. Mm-hmm. This is communicating. There's a question?
Yeah, well, there's a comment from online. So Kara Gutentag, she says, I've seen small healings that lead to large miracle healings, and feeling that gratitude leads to more healing through the thoughts and action. So, and that belief and faith are huge in that.
Yes.
So that's part what you're feeling. Then I was going to say this group right now is in what we're calling a composite.
Yes, we're building trust and rapport through the group. Some by fascination, some by agreement. You feel what's being vibrated. When we do the healing demonstration, you will feel it because the two are acting as one, or the many are acting as one. Okay, now, watch this next slide. This will communicate so much to you. Radio station sending out an electromagnetic wave. We teach the science and philosophy of thought in the concept therapy course. This travels just a wave, an FM or AM wave, travels, goes to the radio, broadcasts whatever station it's tuned in. These two are in tune with each other. Then you can turn up the amplitude and turn up the volume, you can turn it down. So in your life, you can turn a suggestion up or you can turn it down. Or you can change stations. You don't have to be in resonance with the station anymore. You tune into a certain station, you get one type of music. You tune into the other station, you get another type. This is happening subconscious to subconscious, innate to innate, spirit to spirit. It's what's happening in our world, our cell phones, our Bluetooths, our remotes. Thoughts are things. Thoughts are electromagnetic waves. We're not going to teach in depth on that in suggestive therapy, but that's what's happening. And so it's pretty fascinating when you understand that. And then this slide just says all of that. There are actions that take place when you're talking about how do we get perfect faith. Well, you as the operator or the originator, you have to know what suggestion, you have to visualize the suggestion. You got to be an authority on the topic. If you're wishy-washy, the doctor says, I don't know what's wrong, maybe it's this. The chiropractor says, maybe it's that, I don't know which it is, maybe you just need, it's not certain. So that power of that suggestion may not hit. But look what, as this person, the subject or the executor or the patient, they must listen. Listen. And then they must also visualize. Both people have to visualize the healing. Do you see it? Do you feel it? Do you believe? And then they have to act it out. You have to act it out. If you don't do your prescription, if you don't do your, then the chances of it happening is not high. Well, the doctor said do this, but I didn't listen. Well, then either you didn't have faith in the doctor or the process of the procedure for some reason. Somebody suggested to you that it was something else. And have you ever noticed you listen to your friends and family before you listen to the doctor sometimes? And sometimes you don't listen to your friends and family and you only listen to the doctor. All right. Big secret of healing. Anybody want to know the big secret? Okay, we need a big reader for the big secret. And then I'll read the rest.
I want to reveal a fascinating and transformative aspect of healing, one that revolves around the interplay of faith, imagery, and the body's innate healing power. Understanding the connection can significantly impact how we approach healing in our practice. Let's begin with a remarkable story about Dr. Locke, a doctor from Canada who discovered something extraordinary. By manipulating the metatarsal arch of a patient's feet, he found that people were experiencing healing from a variety of ailments. His technique led to numerous astonishing cures, and soon people flocked to his little town seeking treatment. As patients lined up and paid for their treatments, each was instructed to visualize their healing while receiving the adjustment. The power of their belief in this treatment, the imagery they held in their mind, was crucial. Amazingly, conditions like diabetes, deafness, and other ailments were alleviated simply through this method of foot manipulation. The key to Dr. Locke's success wasn't the physical adjustment. It was the patient's faith and the image associated with the treatment. When people believe they will heal, that faith activates an innate power within them that facilitates the healing process. This principle reflects a crucial healing truth. The mind plays a significant role in our body's well-being. As healthcare practitioners, we must recognize that the healing process encompasses more than just healing the physical body. The dynamics of the mind, soul, and spirit are equally important. Achieving harmony among these elements enables us to engage more effectively with our patients and promote genuine healing. In this context, we should familiarize ourselves with the 4 essential components of the human experience: body, mind, soul, and spirit. Each of these aspects can contribute to illness or wellness. When we acknowledge these interconnections, we can tailor our healing approaches more holistically. Patients can experience illnesses due to various factors, including physical injuries, thought patterns, toxins, or lifestyle choices. By identifying which aspect contributes to their condition, we can create a supportive environment for healing. To facilitate this healing, we need to form a clear mental image of the desired outcome. If we couple this image with unwavering faith and practical suggestions during treatment, we can activate the innate power within our patients and clients. This process mirrors the experiences that many patients have with various healing modalities. The big secret to effective healing lies in the combination of faith and the images we create. By understanding the components of the body, mind, soul, and spirit, we become better equipped to facilitate healing in our patients and clients. Let's strive to create an environment where this innate power can be activated, ultimately leading to lasting health and wellness.
Thank you much. There's a spot in here that says that understanding the cause of disease, that there's various factors. Physical injuries. Well, that's this physical injuries. We talk about toxins or poisons. We talk about thought patterns. And then there is that last part. What does it say? Lifestyle choices. Yeah. Some of you just don't know. But you get a symptom or a feedback, and then that's your know to know. Don't do that again. And then this fourfold nature again, I just bring it up here. Life is the action of the spirit through the soul, through the matter that makes up the body. We are a soul, activated by the spirit, operating through the medium that is the physical body. This is the process that we go through. You added image. You get a picture what you want to see happen, and it's much more effective when you have an idea. You take an idea, you add pictures, thoughts, processes, emotion, feeling, and it becomes a concept. You know, healthy ideas makes a healthy concept. Disease ideas, disease concept. All manifest into the body and into your life. It's the picture. So whatever's showing up in your body and your life, it's because of the thoughts, the pictures, the processes that you have agreed to or accepted. And that's hard to take, but you created it, and now the body's creating it for you as a habit. First you create the habit, then the habit creates you. So you got to create the good habit, so the good habit creates you, whether that's in your body or in your life. Okay. Questions on that section before we conclude? Right. Because Dr. Flea was a chiropractor, he was teaching this to chiropractors. In this philosophy booklet, there's sections on chiropractic. So get the principle here. It's the principle I want you to get, not so much the technique. Okay? I want to share the foundational principle of chiropractic care and discuss its evolution since its inception. The story of Dr. Daniel D. Palmer, who established chiropractic as a profession, reveals not only the origins of its practices, but also the key principles that underpin the healing process. It was September 1895, Dr. Palmer, a magnetic healer, he discovered an abnormal lump in the spine of a man named Harvey Lillard. Curious to see if he could correct this misalignment, he manipulated a bone back into place, and to his astonishment, Lillard, who had been deaf for years, regained his hearing immediately, all thanks to that first chiropractic adjustment. This transformative experience prompted Dr. Palmer to theorize that other misalignments could similarly lead to various health issues. He believed he had uncovered a new science and subsequently asked a friend to coin a name for it, resulting in the term chiropractic, which means with hands. Thus, chiropractic was born, and the idea of adjusting the spine could restore health and well-being. Now, in the early days, there were no formal textbooks or extensive studies in chiropractic. Instead, Dr. Palmer taught his first students directly from his home. Students were encouraged to grasp the principle behind the adjustments. The simple but powerful idea was that when the bones were misaligned, they could disrupt bodily function, and realignment could restore them. As these early chiropractors expanded their practices, they encountered skepticism and persecution from the established medical community. Nevertheless, their unwavering faith and the commitment to the principles of adjusting bones led to numerous successful treatments for various ailments. They believed that by correcting misalignments, they could unlock the innate intelligence within the body that would facilitate healing. Over time, chiropractic has evolved into a more structured field with the development of various techniques and methodologies, and today practitioners are trained in the science and art of adjustments, learning precisely how to realign vertebrae to alleviate pain and promote healing. This specialization has led to the development of numerous schools of thought within the field of chiropractic. Now, despite these advances, many modern chiropractors may not fully embrace the original principles of chiropractic that emphasize the importance of faith, imagery, and innate intelligence. The focus has shifted more towards a technique than the underlying principle of every patient's inherent ability to heal. And to practice effectively, we must return to the core principle that originated with Dr. Palmer, the connection between treatments and the healing power within us. And by understanding and incorporating this dynamic into our practices, we can effectively navigate the complexities of the profession and provide patients with meaningful care. And obviously the point of this is, it's not the technique. Because if it was the technique, out of all the chiropractic techniques we have, and every chiropractor you get something different, then how come one can fix something and the other can't, and the other can and you can't? Some use a click, some use a push, some use a pull, some use nutrition, some use therapy, some use muscle, but they all seem to fix the problem. And if one doesn't, you go to the other one. If they fix, you probably had more faith and understanding or education, and hence you agreed with that technique or philosophy rather than the other. The same with medicine, the same with holistic care. It's not the technique that does the healing. Now, could technique matter? Sure. It's your faith and your confidence in the technique and your ability to send that faith and confidence over to your patient, seeing the picture of what you want it to be, giving it to them, they receiving it, they carrying it out, that does the work. Does technique matter? Yes. How you perform medicine matters, but it's not what does it. It's a component of it. And sometimes we trust so much something that's mechanical rather than something that's additional to that. All right. And I'll finalize this in a second. Any questions before we move on to our break and our healing? Okay. You get an idea?
So I've been thinking about just sharing, our story, but my daughter was very sick a couple of years ago, and we had taken her to Children's Medical Center, and it just kind of reminded me when you were saying, because when we were at Children's Medical Center, they gave her like over 80 different tests to try to figure out what was wrong with her. She was seen by 8 kinds of specialties, infectious disease, oncology, general practitioners, just everybody that was there. And they all would come into her room one by one to look at her, and they would all say, "It's a mystery, but we'll figure it out," every single time. And that wore her down so much that they could never figure it out. Well, she got released with steroids, I think, after a week of being there, and we kind of decided to go. We saw you, and the first visit that she had with you, that was what you gave her, was just like, we're going to figure it out. It wasn't, well, we might, or we don't know what it is. It was kind of like, no, we're going to do this, that your body's going to heal. And that was a turning point for her and her healing.
Yes. And so what a blessing this was, because medical had ruled out pathology. No better job for a healer after medical has ruled out all pathology. Now you know. You don't have to worry about that. Now you can just work your art confidently, expectantly. And it was beautiful. And she had another practitioner that did the same thing. But thanks to the rule out. So I want to add that part. Okay. All right. Anybody else? I'm coming down the final stretch. Now realize that Dr. Fleet, again, I've repeated this, but I want you to get the big, he was healed by a chiropractor. So he had faith in chiropractic. He bought into the methodology of the body, mind, soul. He bought into the idea of the nervous system, nerves being impinged in the spine. He bought into that. It was logical. He had complete faith in it. It was simple to him. So when he created his philosophy, he wanted to train chiropractors because they had this idea of this body, mind, soul thing. Little metaphysical. They could accept it in a way and produce it. So he wanted to give that to fellow chiropractors. And so when he created this, it was for chiropractic. It's not limited to chiropractic, obviously. But this last section still has a hinge of chiropractic in it, but I want you to get the big picture. Okay, so here we go. It's time to discuss this powerful intersection of suggestion and health imagery, particularly in context to your practice or your art. By understanding and utilizing specific health images, we can enhance our effectiveness in healing. To facilitate the integration of suggestive therapy into our practice and life, we provide you with 6 health images. These images serve as essential tools for effective communicating the goals of treatment. For instance, if you have a patient or a client dealing with constipation, you would explain how the treatment is going to support their elimination system. It's crucial to be clear with patients or clients about their treatment. For example, you might say, I find that your elimination system is out of order. I'm going to treat you and release the nerve supply to this system, and I want you to notice the changes that follow. Following this, you would read the applicable suggestions from a zone slip related to their condition. These zone slips, well, they're designed to convey specific suggestions to your patients' and clients' innate mind. When patients and clients have faith in the treatment while reading these slips, the suggestions penetrate their subconscious, acting as a direct order to their innate intelligence to enact healing. This would be same as a prescription for therapy or medicine or vitamins. Encourage patients to actively participate in their healing process by reading these slips. Ask them to keep a daily record of their progress, noting whether the suggested changes have begun to occur. This practice not only reinforces their belief in the treatment, but it also helps you monitor their healing journey. And as you continue treating your patients and clients' elimination zone, you will likely see improvements in their condition. Once the system has been restored to normal, you can proceed to the next system that requires attention. This structured method leads to a reproducible process of healing. And this approach to healing, it's rooted both in imagery and faith. It transforms care into precise science with the right tools, such as images, zone slips, technique books, diet books. You can enhance your practice without needing to change your existing methods. The key takeaway is that healing is only as effective as the image you create and the faith you foster in your patients and clients. If there's no clear image, treatments become mere physical action without direction. Remember that the patient's and client's belief plays a crucial role in the outcome. Using suggestions paired with health images, allow you to work more effectively. And by applying the principles of suggestive therapy, you empower your patients and clients to engage in their healing process actively. And as you put these techniques into practice, you will find that they become an integral part of your approach. Now, Dr. Fleet realized that we have 6 major systems. So he created images that have these 6 major systems. Well, what are they? We have a glandular system. We have an elimination system. We have a nerve system, a digestion, a muscular, and a circulatory system. Every disease that exists has to fit in one of those 6 categories. So if you have an image of what you want, and you can suggest it because you have faith, and you provide them the image, they can know what to expect and what to carry out. He created suggestions on paper called zone slips, and they have these suggestions on them: perfect elimination, perfect bowel activity, perfect this, perfect that. It would be the same as you taking your prescription every day, except you take it by mouth. This, you take it by sight, or you take it by hearing, or you take it by feeling. Just other ways, and you can do all of it. I mentioned I love pictures. I can look here, and I'll show you when we do our healing. I can point out how the brain sends a signal down to your pancreas, and the pancreas back to your brain. If there's any disruption in that signal, through a fall or a slip or a poison or a mental negative suggestion that tightens up muscles, and you see that and you believe that and you have faith in that and it makes sense, and I touch you there and it's tender there, and I say, when I adjust this bone, you're going to restore fluid. And if you have faith in that idea and it's logical and I believe it and you see it, it's highly probable, if that's the sole source, that'll happen. If the bone is broken, well, then you need proper medical attention, and then you can suggest the bone is healing very fast. So what you are now, your position in life, is the result of past thought. And there is no such thing as chance. Everything's lawful. There's a cause and effect, an effect and a cause. It's just identifying the right one and how to suggest and how to get a different picture in the mind for healing. Okay, before we get into our last demonstration and then the healing idea, any questions so far or comments on that? All right, now, similar to what we did before, this one you can stay in your seat. It's the same idea. So those of you that now have a little more faith and confidence in what happened, here's what we're going to do. It's called the book and balloon. So get this picture first. In your right hand, you're going to hold, in a minute, you're going to hold your hand kind of like this, because we're going to tie a balloon. We're going to tie a string, and we're going to tie a balloon to it. And in this one, you're going to have a big, green, heavy, about a 5-pound book. So it's going to look like this. And then I'm going to paint a picture that this balloon is getting bigger. It's a helium balloon. So helium suggests what? It's going up. You see the suggestion? It's a helium balloon. Now it changes the whole picture in your mind. And the balloon will get bigger, more helium, which means the likelihood of you feeling your arm do this. And in here, we're going to place a book, and it's 5 pounds, so your brain has an idea. You'll notice your arm will shake, and then we're going to put another book in there. And you are going to watch how suggestion, by picturing a balloon to your hand, is going to pull your arm up, and the heavy books in this arm is going to probably pull your hand down. And your job is not to make your arm go up. I want you just to picture and experience the power of suggestion. Honest, easy, authentic, fun. So that you can see that this is happening on a higher level and matters that are much more pertinent in your life than this little thing. Okay, y'all ready? Right arm like this, a little like this. Left arm like this. Close your eyes. And I want you on your right wrist, there is a string comfortably tied to your wrist. It's not cutting off circulation. There is an average-sized helium balloon that is attached to the end of it. It's a white balloon. And in your left hand palm, there is a 5-pound book. It's a green book. And you picture that. Now, in the right, picture this balloon has now been filled up with more helium. It has doubled in size. You feel the tug of that balloon on your wrist. And now in the left hand, I want you to place a second 5-pound book. This one's blue. And you're able to hold it, but you feel the weight. You feel the weight as it begins to weigh your hand down. And now your right hand, we're filling that white helium balloon up double its size again. And we've added a third book to your left hand. And picture the balloon tugging and pulling up at your right hand as the books are slowly weighing you down as you shake and feel the pressure of the books. And then we'll fill that balloon up just a little bit more as you feel the helium overpowering your ability to hold your arm there. And then another book in the left hand really pulling your arm down. Okay, now all of you look at your hand position and get an idea. Some of you, yeah, it's the shock of all, the power of suggestion. The helium pulls things up. Books weigh you down. Some of your arm is fatigued. Now, I also placed you in positions of suggestion too. Doing the wrist like this is easier to go up than like this, and putting a book here is easier to go down. So not only I painted the picture, but I also set you up to be suggested to. I put you in the movie theater, I put you in the seat, I put the popcorn and the sounds, and now we're in. And we leave out of the movie and we're like, this was so real. And we think, I know my mom used to say after every Van Damme or Rocky movie, she says, I can't let you watch those because you come out thinking you're Rocky. So I share those demonstrations because I want you to understand that the power of suggestion. If I'm some form of authority, or if I somewhat fascinate you, or if you have some agreement to what I'm saying, you're susceptible to my suggestions, constructive or destructive. My goal is constructively to place healing ideas in patients. That's my goal. But we can inadvertently give you negative suggestions. If you don't do this, this will happen. And in some cases, you need a scare. And in other cases, you do not need a scare. But you can always control what comes in and what comes out, and always help the doctor, help the healer, assist you in the healing process. It's not their sole responsibility. Okay? Questions on that? That was pretty cool, wasn't it? Okay, I'm going to give a couple closing statements, and then we're going to break, and then I'm going to show you some healing through suggestion using Dr. Fleet's suggestive therapy. And so ideally, whoever has the most faith that something can happen for the positive, that would be easier. If you're being critical, I'll look bad. Okay, so closing statements, right here. Is truth your authority? Or is an authority your truth? Only you can answer that. I like studying universal law because I don't know how much gets more true than that. Guard your inner life from the negative aspects of the outer world. Only allow the beneficial in. Well, why? Well, look at this. You've heard all the analogies of icebergs and all of this. This iceberg is not moved across the ocean by the wind. It's moved by the currents below. Our life is moved by the currents below. The subconscious baggage. that we've stored there. And it moves our life. So it may be worthy of understanding something about the subconscious, something about how the mind operates, the connection of the body, the mind, the soul, the spirit. It's worthy of knowing yourself and mastering yourself. And there are a lot of ways to do that, but most give their power and their authority to someone or something else. Even when it comes to biblical scripture, who is teaching you? Usually it's always been another teacher, and we follow whatever the teacher says. Why do you think we have so many different churches? So many different denominations? I don't know right or wrong, it just is. So in this idea, this philosophy that we've been talking about today is followed up with the application of suggestive therapy. Its mother course, the mother course of all courses, is this one called concept therapy. It hits the highlights. It talks about the creative process, the manifestation idea, how healing works, the human personality and how it works, the fourfold nature of man. It talks about the universal laws. Here is the breakdown that I want you to see. If you have an interest, this course is a 4-day course. It is 32 hours long. It is in San Antonio, Texas, at the Institute, the ranch at the Institute, and can be done online. Now watch this. New student price. By the way, I didn't tell you the Concept Therapy Institute is a not-for-profit teaching institution. Well, you know why. $495, 4 days, 32 hours of training. And if you've taken it before, it's $175. But what the Institute's done now is they've offered, if you sign up as 2 or more people together, you get a 25% discount. New student, $371 cost. Review student, $131 and some change. That's 4 days, 32 hours, in person or online, and a 4-week recording. It's a teaching institution. I'll be teaching a third of this class. Concept therapy course coming up in October. That'll be here in this office and online. 23 hours, same costs, same recording. If this date doesn't work for you and you don't want to do the class and get the recording, or if you had to pick one class and one class only and that's it, it's this one. You can't do anything further unless you have this course. This is ultimately the course that changed my life. You want to apply what we learned today, this course, if you want to do both, you can do both. If you're not into courses, then get some of the books. And if you're not into that, join us for our Rays of the Dawn study clubs. There's no cost for those. One last mention for those of you that are super interested. We're teaching a master course. It's 113 plus hours that has the suggestive in it, it has the concept therapy in it, and it has many healing demonstrations and principles in that. This is a master course for those that have high level of interest in theory, philosophy, and practical application. And if you're inquiring about that, let me know. That's an online course. And some flyers you have in your folders, these materials. You pull out your folders. In your folders, on the right-hand side, there's flyer on suggestive therapy. Those of you that have digital folders, you have a trifold. This is pretty cool. I think Kim did such a good job. Those of you on the electronic side, you have an electronic folder that makes noise. It's like it's a flipping book, so you hit it, it goes twink. You have a what is concept therapy if you're interested. There's flyers. This is all our promo on that. And then on the left side, our total health handbook classes. There's more to say, but I'll reserve that. You want the recording or you want to hear more of this, YouTube channel at Dr. Bobbitt Team. It's pretty much all Dr. Fleet's ideas just put in my words. That could be good or bad. Okay. And then, questions before we break. If you have any questions about these courses, just get with us, we'll help. Jamie?
Is there a money-back guarantee on concept?
Okay, so the concept therapy class has a 100% money-back guarantee. So you could take the entire course, decide it wasn't what you wanted, just return whatever study materials you had, and then you'll get a full refund for the class. Dr. Fleet wanted people to get the idea. As a teaching institution, he wanted people to be taught. He wanted to guide you and lead you into health and healing, so that's a good point. So very little risk there. All right, last? Okay, enjoy your break.
Come back for healing.
We'll come back for healing demonstrations, and then I will move a couple of these chairs, so we might want to reposition seats. I need probably these 4 chairs